And if there is one head of state who has aroused the keen attention of all car makers, it is the Pope. He reigns over the smallest state in the world, but has the possibility of influencing hundreds of millions of the faithful. A godsend which explains in part the generosity of the world's big car makers, sometimes with original vehicles.
The Pope receives his car as a gift. Perhaps one discusses not with the Pope himself, but with his entourage, what he would like and what he doesn't want. In general, the Pope wants a measure of discretion.
The story of the popemobiles began in earnest between the wars, when the Vatican retrieved its independence, confiscated in 1870 at the time of the creation of modern Italy.
It was not before 1930 that the Pope began to travel. Not very far, but in Rome, because in 1929, the Latran Accords, signed with Mussolini, gave a certain number of guarantees and freedoms to the Pope, who no longer considered himself as a prisoner in the Vatican.
In 1930, Pope Pius XI received his first official vehicle. It was a gift from André Citroën. It was a C6, also known as a Lectoria, equipped with a small throne. This luxury six-cylinder 42-horsepower model came directly from the Citroën's Italian factory. But with only 159 kilometers on the clock, she spent most of her time in the papal garage. Pius XI preferred a Mercedes, the more powerful Nürburgring 460 with 8 cylinders and 80 horsepower. Mercedes became the favored supplier to the papacy.
In reality, it was John Paul II, with his many trips across the world from 1978 onwards, who made the popemobile popular.
No more ostentatious vehicles. The popemobile took on a new look: white, simple, and not armored. The plexiglass passenger compartment was originally designed to protect him from the weather. The first contemporary popemobile is kept in Stuttgart in Germany, in the Mercedes Museum. John Paul II used it during his trip to Germany in 1980.
Here we have the 1980 popemobile, built on a Mercedes Class G.
Des Mercedes-Benz G-Modells, man würde heute G-Klasse sagen. Was man hier sehen kann, ist der
You can see here the large structure in plexiglass. The Pope's seat, which is adjustable in height, and there's also room for his Vatican collaborators to sit down. And he could keep in contact with the driver via this microphone.
This popemobile is 4 meters 60 long, 1 meter 83 wide, and 2 meters 80 high. It has a 4-cylinder, 100-horsepower engine, but it can only reach a speed of 130 kilometers an hour, quite sufficient for the Pope's parades. To make this popemobile, the maker's engineers adapted a standard 4x4 Class G. The Class G first appeared in 1979. It's an all-terrain vehicle derived from a military model created a few years earlier for the Shah of Iran. After winning the 1983 Paris-Dakar, this 4x4 gained an international reputation. The Vatican was won over by the robustness of this model and its chassis. It was presented with a standard Class G, neither armored nor equipped with security features.
Its
design was fitting. The all-terrain vehicle had a chassis which could be combined with a multitude of different bodies. That's why it was chosen, so that it could support the weight of the heavy plexiglass structure.
Until the 13th of May 1981, this structure was not put in place unless there was a risk of rain. And on this 13th of May, the sun was shining on St. Peter's Square in Rome. At 1717, a man, commissioned by the Soviets or nationalist Turks, we still don't know, appeared suddenly out of the crowd and took several shots at the Pope without the least hindrance. John Paul II was miraculously spared, in spite of a serious wound in the abdomen. Since then, a screen of bulletproof reinforced plexiglass is the Pope's travel companion, whatever the weather.
The big difference between before and after the attack is that there are now security measures. There's a certain number of heavily armed policemen, but they're not in view, who follow the papal car and precede it, and the car itself is reinforced.
In spite of the attack, the Pope's car is still not armored. But now the popemobile is permanently surmounted by its bulletproof screen. It's reinforced plexiglass 4 centimeters thick. On the other hand, as papal etiquette commands, the standard car is sometimes equipped with the most unusual refinements.
Im Gegensatz zum
And unlike the standard Model G, the Mercedes star emblem is not chrome-plated, but gold-plated. The same thing for the wheel rims. They also are gold-plated, and it's important for the general look of the car. And another great feature is the handholds for the bodyguards, to enable them to protect the Pope during his tour.
Although Mercedes has a special relationship with the Vatican, Peugeot has also worked on a papal vehicle on the occasion of 2 official visits to France in the 80s. The last model is still exhibited in Peugeot's Adventure Museum at Sochaux in the east of France.
We're in the 504 pickup, which was built by Peugeot for the second visit of the Pope to France when he came to Alsace-Lorraine in 1988. The pickup 504 was chosen because it lends itself easily to having a platform positioned on it where the Pope will take his place and be seen by all his followers. The Pope's head must be 2 meters 60 from the ground.
This 62 horsepower pickup is notable for its solid chassis, which can carry the new bulletproof screen in plexiglass.
The construction of this plexiglass cage involves panels which are 4 centimeters thick and which will provide protection to the Pope even from shots from light handguns.
The Pope, de Gaulle, Hitler, the cars of heads of state are one of the favorite targets for perpetrators of assassination attempts. Security services have little by little come to treat them as a priority. The assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy on the 22nd of November 1963 in Dallas, while he was in a convoy in his Lincoln Continental convertible, was a watershed in the history of the automobile. The Secret Services, with the Americans in the lead, were prompted to revise from top to bottom the security arrangements for heads of state.